Okay, so we are ready to start our afternoon session. So we're going to kick off right after lunch, and I was really excited to see all the small groups forming as the lunchtime went on and all the discussions. And so I hope everybody made some initial connections, exchanged some information, and have started building that network that's really going to carry you forward. So it's now you've heard a few times in the panels this morning about the connection with the upstate, what a supportive organization we have in South Carolina with SC Bio. So it's our pleasure today to have the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of that organization to come and give us an overview, but also tell us what the great things that they can do for you as entrepreneurs, but also as Clemson grads. So please join me in welcoming Erin Ford.
Well, excellent. Thank you for having me. And I am excited to talk about the life science industry in South Carolina and how it has grown. And you are in the industry at the right time as Clemson students, whether or not you become entrepreneurs, whether you work at companies that are here in South Carolina. We're leaning into life plus science because why not, right? We live in a great place. Okay, I'm with SC Bio. What does that mean? We are a state organization, a representative of the National Bio Organization, which represents biotech, pharmaceutical industry, AdvaMed, which is the national association that represents the medical device industry, medtech. So that organization is are your people. Pharma, with a little h, represents all the major pharmaceutical manufacturing companies in the United States. We are the lead economic development organization. So we work with our partners, and I'll talk more about that today, of how we work to bring in more companies so that you have more opportunities to work at established life science companies here in South Carolina. And we support the existing industry. And that does include those innovative small companies that we hope are going to grow and have successful exits and have more great stories. So I mentioned you're at a good time to be here in South Carolina. And why is that? Let's check out some of the rankings that you may not be aware of as a state. We are the 6th fastest growing state in the life science industry in South Carolina. That's from a Bio Report 2024. Top 5 for the pharmaceutical industry. Charleston is the fastest growing life science hub in the United States. That was a recent report as well. This is familiar. We're in the upstate, right? You see downtown Greenville, one of the best cities for manufacturing talent in the US. And so we are earning these rankings because we are continuing to build the infrastructure needed for success. We have still a lot of work to do. So we're glad that you are here today, and all of the folks that have joined, that you have listened to today, that are providing you the knowledge, and also they're doing business here in South Carolina. And for those of you that aren't, oh, you will be when I'm done, so don't you worry. So we are partnered, I mentioned our partners, the Department of Commerce. We work hand in glove with that group, as I mentioned, to support existing industry. What does that mean? Means that they have the workforce that they need. They have the access to some of the programs Steve mentioned. We work with SCRA, making sure that the resources that our existing industry needs, that they get. And if we don't have a program or a need, that we fill those gaps and that we work with our partners. SC Bio, if you think, oh my gosh, she said a lot of stuff, what should I remember? Remember that SC Bio is the connector. We connect the industry to academics, to each other, and throughout the world. So connector is what we are. What? Did you know that we had all these life science companies? Raise your hand if you ever saw this map before. I know some people did. Okay, good. I see some people that I don't know that saw the map. Okay, so it's a lot of companies. So what I want you to take away from this map is that you see the hubs, and you see that you're in one in the upstate. And so really, no surprise, med device manufacturing, this is where it's at, right? So it's throughout the state, but you have here at Clemson, I won't mention the middle of the state because I know better, and then also in Charleston. So, and that's more of your therapeutics, right, at Medical University of South Carolina. Though, we want to continue to see this grow. And so that's what we're working on. And again, what does the industry need for that continued success? What we need for that growth is leadership. You're meeting a lot of those leaders here today, and we're excited about that and the innovation. So what's missing? We, as an industry, it's changing. So we need to keep up with those trends. We all watch the news. Some of us turn off the news. That's okay. But we want to know for our industry, it's the rising cost of doing business. A shift towards personalized medicine, that's a good thing, right? So that we can help people have better lives. And so it's that personal approach. And also mention the rise of AI and data. We see a lot of projects coming in that are focused in this area. What's needed for that? Infrastructure. What does Clemson have? Great computing power, right? So how can we harness what's here in the upstate and throughout the state? But for today, right, Clemson, that's one of the positives, and we're marketing that. That's also what we do at SC Bio, is market this industry to the world. And we need data to do that as well. So we recently had Deloitte do a strategic report. And so to help us understand, sometimes if you talk to yourself, you're like, oh, we're doing great. Everybody thinks we're doing great. You got to have other people to have that input to see, okay, you're doing great here. What about here? So we really are meaningfully taking the advice and seeing what the strategy is and following that so that we can, in South Carolina, become one of the best places in the world to do science. That's what we want to do. So you see on the screen the 3 different areas. For advanced precision manufacturing, we know we have that expertise because of the automotive and aerospace industry. Life sciences fits right in there, right? So how can we make sure that the pharmaceutical industry understands that talent can transfer over as we're bringing more companies in? As well for med device. Prepare for the future of R&D. I talked a little bit about that, making sure we're aware of the trends. And then the innovation ecosystem. And then you see those strategic levers at the bottom. What did it all come down to? I think I said infrastructure a few times already. We're working on that. Talent, hello, right here. Capital, we're still working on that. We are going to continue to work on that. Anywhere that isn't sort of on the coast, it's a challenge. And then the technology. So this is what we talked about. What's the foundation? So these are the things that we are focused on, not just us. I mentioned it's SC Bio and those statewide partners, Department of Commerce, SCRA, our regional economic development partners that are out also talking to companies and those that help locate companies to South Carolina, and now life sciences at the forefront. It's one of the top industries that we are working to bring more jobs here. So how do we develop an innovation ecosystem around the life sciences? And when I say life sciences, you saw that map, right? And all of the industries within it. So that's just sort of the catch-all. Med device is part of that. Pharmaceutical, R&D, digital health, right? So it's just a big classifier for it. Lab space, when I moved here about 15 years ago and then about 14 years ago, was recruiting life science companies to the upstate of South Carolina. And I'm looking at David Orr right here and Steve, Steve, by the way, Steve, just if people didn't know, can you raise your hand a second? So Steve is one of the founding fathers of SC Bio. Did I? He's got some stories. So anyways, and David has been a part of it. So anyways, I came in and I was charged with bringing the ecosystem together in the upstate. And I'll tell you what, we've come a long way, haven't we? The story was not as robust as it is today. And so that's a testament to all of the leaders, including Clemson University, as you continue to produce the pipeline, the workforce that we need in order for the industry to be successful. One of the things we're working on with Department of Commerce is the financial incentives. So if you are reading about big companies locating to South Carolina, often they say we're bringing 100 jobs and $15 million of 150 million of infrastructure. Well, what about an innovative startup? How many employees do you think you might have? 5, 3, 7? You at least have to have 10 jobs to meet some traditional incentives. You have to reach a certain threshold of capital investment. So what can we do to help? We're being creative. And people are coming alongside us to make sure that we have some of these tools so that we can continue to bring in other companies that might not be here in South Carolina that can add to this ecosystem of life sciences. The accelerator programs, we heard many people talk about that today too. We're partnering with the best of the best to bring the best of the best here to South Carolina and also foster the companies that are at that level to take them to the next so that they can get that funding and also the accolades that come along with it. MassBio. So I mentioned we're a state affiliate of the national organization. So MassBio is in Boston, Massachusetts. You think they know what they're doing? Yeah, that is the epicenter of all that is the industry. So we partner with them. One, we have a purchasing program for our members. So we serve our members. We have about 200. They came down to South Carolina. They came down to Charleston. They were like, wow, this is amazing. And then we said, okay, let's meet in Greenville because that's where I'm based and where our CEO is based. And then they said, wow, we didn't know about this either. So not that they just are here because life plus science, but they really liked working with us. And they see also, they're just not going to, because we're friendly, that's not going to get us too far, right? They see the potential in what is happening here in South Carolina and how we can support the innovation ecosystem. So we have an accelerator program and partner with them called Drive. And we are now have the experts from a national perspective and state perspective with some of our colleagues that are here today that are becoming curriculum experts and becoming mentors. So these are high-level executives, one, that are choosing who is in this accelerator program. So we were talking to some of the students earlier about where are you at? So pre-seed, but you're going to have to work to get to this. These companies that are in the accelerator program, we're in our third cohort, come from all over the world. We've had someone from Taiwan. We've had someone from Ireland. So these are specific companies that meet a specific subject matter. And it's been therapeutics. We'll be working to change some of those things up as each cohort goes on to include diagnostics, med device. It's really just a matter of time. So I want you to be aware of this as you're working, and if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, or we have a lot of businesses that are here, that this is an opportunity that didn't exist just a year ago. So when we talk about as an organization, an industry organization, we could say, oh yeah, we got members, we're doing events, that's great. No, we are pushing the needle. We are pushing forward because we want to be the best of the best, and we want you to have those opportunities. We talked about raising capital earlier today and how hard it is. So, and we also had people up here that might be high net worth individuals. Do they know about investing in the life sciences? These folks do, but what about their friends? How can we get, a lot of folks are retiring or they are executives that want to call South Carolina home. How can we get them more engaged in our industry so they understand that life cycle, that it's not going to have a return on investment in a year? What do we talk about, 5, 10 years down the road? But they can put their dollars into South Carolina companies and have success. So the more folks that know about our industry in different capacities is going to be a win for all of us. In the end, if we don't have the workforce, which is what all of you students are, we will not win. So it is really important for those connections that I talked about, that we are connecting with you and that we are connecting with others around the world, that you are an essential piece of that puzzle. So you might not be ready for the Drive Accelerator Founders Day workshop. It's a great opportunity to learn, talking about those mentors that are here today and others from throughout the state that we will bring together so that you can have that expert ask you the questions that you might not have been able to ask yet if you have an idea, and it's a safe space, right? So, and you're making connections with others that maybe you think, okay, this isn't the way I want to go, but I really liked that individual I talked to and I might want to work for them. So again, opportunities, keeping yourselves open to the possibilities, whether it's entrepreneurship or anything else, that you have that opportunity here as Clemson students in our industry and the life sciences. There's also lab space. So Clemson University, from how long ago was Cube Inc. established? No, I don't even know. It's been many years, like 15, 20, How many of you have been at Cube Inc? If you're a bioengineering, right? Yes. So that's a great facility. We need more, right? So Main Street Labs, which we have our SC Bio offices headquartered at, and we have events. We're going to talk about that and how you can get involved in that so that you can connect with the industry that is in Greenville, so you don't have to go too far to, again, make those meaningful connections. When we're talking about, earlier, and I said, how can we be creative about other companies that aren't here now? And I'm talking to my friends that have companies that aren't here now. Might be bigger past this, but how can you can have a free year of lab space. That's something that's new that we worked with the Department of Commerce to initiate. We also had to have the lab space built out. So that's going to the infrastructure. How do we have those needs? I mentioned Steve Johnson and SCRA and possible relocation grants for companies to come in. We have a healthcare association plan. As you're forming a company, healthcare is expensive. So how can we help offset some of those costs? I talked about the purchasing program, which is EDGE, and then just to those experts that you're hearing today, FDA and regulatory, so that those companies, and a lot of what we also work with are international companies that want to make a presence here in the United States, and we want South Carolina to be that landing pad. I mentioned that we had this report done. It's about 30 pages. If you are so inclined, you can scan that. You don't have to read all 30. There is an executive overview. But essentially, you've got the cliff notes right here. This is what we're talking about, and how can we move the industry forward and how we can transform it by 2030. Okay, we're getting to the pipeline, which is you all are, that workforce pipeline. I mentioned how important partnerships are. Also, when we have meetings, which we've had over the past 5 years, is when we started getting industry, academia together online to talk about what's working and what's not. So some of these things you see here and that I'll talk about are a result of these conversations. I am not saying this is what we should do. I can take the information in, and really it's industry and academia that need to work together. You all know where you are, top research university in South Carolina. When we are marketing the state, we market all 3 of our major universities and our other universities throughout South Carolina who can become that workforce of the future for these companies that come here. This is one example that we partnered with an organization that's based in Kansas City. When you guys are in the labs, right, working in the labs, working in an industry lab, a little different. So how can you be prepared so when you go in to that lab setting saying, oh yeah, I have these skills and I know about documentation, good documentation practices and what SOPs are. These are the things that industry has said are missing. So we have worked with, and Clemson University is one of those, that we have over 200 South Carolina college students that have taken these micro-credential tests. And now when you take these evaluations posted on your LinkedIn, and for our industry to understand what skills you have. So really just elevating and giving you more skills so that you're more marketable when you're out there looking for work, really. Also, you can be a part of SC Bio for free. Raise of hands of the students. Are you already a member? If you are or not. Okay. Job for today, become a member. Scan that. We'll also make sure that this slide show is available to all of you afterwards so that you will have access, one, to the news of all of the industry news that's happening here in South Carolina, and then that you will be able to attend the event so that you can continue those connections that you made today. I'm looking at my notes. Brianna, where are you? Raise your hand. Brianna Walsh, she and I connected and got to know each other. She's going to do her LinkedIn profile this weekend. Fast friends. And she's a sophomore, so guess what? She's got me for a few more years. I'm going to follow and see what she's doing. Just one example, right? That's a connection that we made that's going to continue. And we've had interns at SC Bio that have gone on to be full-time staff members and have gone on to work in industry, very successful. So you guys have a good track record. You have a leg up on some others, I'll just say. Also, what we noticed and what we listened from the universities is that when you guys are applying for jobs or for internships, is what I meant, in the summer, sometimes it's expensive to live in Greenville or in Charleston. So that you might say, okay, great, I have an internship, but I can't afford to live there. So how can we cover that gap? So we have the SC Bio Foundation is a part of SC Bio, and so it's a separate board that evaluates these grant opportunities so that you can cover your living costs up to $3,000 for a summer internship. So if you don't know about this program, what you have to do is be a South Carolina student at a university here, or you're here in South Carolina, you could be a university student elsewhere, but you are doing an internship at a life science, big umbrella, company in South Carolina. Why are we doing this? We want you to stay here, and so that you can have a job after that internship, form those relationships, and we want you to stay here and be successful in South Carolina. So this is really important. This, again, we just established 2 years ago. We are not just sitting back. We're not sitting back. We are moving forward. We're very active on LinkedIn. So if there is news that you want to share, let us know. And then this is, again, a great way for you to communicate and understand what's happening in the industry. This is another thing that you want to make sure you put on your calendars, is our academia and industry. Has any of the students here attended an academia and industry event? Whew, we did not plan that. Good. Why 2 thumbs up? Tell me. Excellent. And I was supposed to let you have a mic. Okay, we'll recap. So basically what he said is that he saw Polymed, Samaritan Biologics, and having that interaction, understanding what their expectations are of you and your expectations for them. Industry needs to know too, some of us are getting up there. And so we think that something that is standard might not be standard anymore. So I think those conversations are really key for us to understand each other. So again, this is at the College of Science. Guess what? You're allowed to go over there, right? So you guys, we were talking about this earlier. I know you're at the Department of Engineering and the College of, listen, attend and you will, and guess what? Let me just say this, bioengineering rocks. Because you guys are the majority of who attends those events. So job well done, Jennifer Hogan. We have an annual conference. And so we'll be back in Charleston, February 18th. I know some of you I've talked to have attended the conference. I'm making you raise your hands just so that stay with me, right? You want to talk a little bit about your experience with a microphone of the SC Bio Conference?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, got to attend a bunch of talks and listen to people that know a lot about life sciences in the field. And after, you get to walk up and ask questions, and it's all about continuing the network as well.
Excellent. And he's going to be at the conference again, as long as he gets some funding. So we just want to make sure that that happens. So we get the students there. But what I will say is that as industry professionals, those are the most meaningful conversations that we have with students, just with your questions and wanting to know how to navigate things, and being able to support that is a lot of the industry professionals have said that's the best part. We also have these academia and industry events throughout the state. So we hold them regionally so that every university really has an opportunity to attend. You can also get on I-26 and go down to Charleston if you so desire. When you see the companies that are listed, if something speaks to you and it's not here in the upstate, we welcome students to come to any of those. So SC Bio, that's us. Connections, the future, pushing forward, and you're all involved in it. And I'm so excited to just share some of these nuggets with you today. Thank you.